Ladies and gentlemen, welcome very cordially at the third press conference devoted to the local government elections. I'd like to hand over to Judge Marciniak. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The National Electoral Commission, based on data received from 25,406 district commissions out of the total number of 25,417 commissions, wishes to inform you that in the elections to municipality councils as of 5 p.m. on the 21st of October 2018, the number of people entitled to vote, i.e. the number of people included on the list of voters in districts from which we received data amounted to 29,965,287. Ballot papers were issued to 12,481,876 people entitled to vote, which accounts for 41.65% of the total number of people entitled to vote in these elections. As regards aggregate information per province, the highest turnout was registered in the Mazovian province, 45.31%. The second one was Świętokrzyskie, 43.95%, and Podlasie, 42.97. The lowest turnout as of now was registered in Opolskie province, 37%. As regards the highest turnout per city, the highest turnout was registered in Warsaw, 47%, Gdańsk 43% and Olsztyn 42%. In relation to the number of people entitled to vote, the highest turnout was registered in the municipality of Aleksandrów, district Piotrków, Łódzkie province, 64% of all people eligible to vote. Let me emphasize that this is good news when it comes to turnout in these elections. 4 years ago, with a caveat that it's not fully comparable because 4 years ago the turnout at 5:30 was 39%. Right now, let me just remind you, it's 41.65%. 1 percentage point is around 300,000 voters. So in comparison with the data from 4 years ago, now we are 2.37% higher, which is around 650,000 people. 650,000 people more went to vote today than 4 years ago. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Deputy Head of the National Electoral Commission. And now I'd like to hand over to Judge Mladenowicz. Let me present to you information about the incidents that occurred in line with the information from the police headquarters until 4 p.m. today. In total, when it comes to the number of crimes and offences related to the elections, there were 595 such incidents Poland-wide, including 559 offences. These are acts described in the Code of Offences and the Electoral Code. As regards offences regulated by the National Electoral Code, the highest number of incidents pertained to removal and destruction of posters, 36, and as regards offences under the Code of Offences, the highest number of incidents, i.e. 45, related to prohibited canvassing specified by Article 498 of the Electoral Code. Let me now turn to crimes. This majority related to crimes against the ballot papers, i.e. destruction of the ballot papers, throwing away to litter bin, tearing them apart, trying to take them away from the polling stations, creasing them in a situation in which the voter requested the member of the commission to give him or her another ballot paper. In this specific case, the person was not given such a paper, and therefore he threw away the paper and left the polling station. When it comes to police data, we had 41,108 police people using 18,398 vehicles, 191 vehicles and 7 horses engaged by these police forces. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to hand over to the next person. No? Do we have any questions? Krzysztof Skurzyński, Fakty TVN. Traditional question, is there any threat that the election silence won't finish at 9 p.m.? The National Electoral Commission did not receive any information that would suggest that election silence should be prolonged, i.e. the chances are that at 9 p.m. the voting will finish. Next question. Good evening. Artur Molenda, Superstacja. What about EPUAP, the internet portal? I know that that has been already asked about. We get information that those people who got a confirmation from this portal that their names were added to the list of voters but were prohibited from doing so in the polling station. What should they do then? You mean the internet portal? There, the voters had the right to request that their municipality office add their name to the list of voters. The request was sent digitally. However, the legislator stipulated very short terms for verification and decision of the municipality office. It was only 3 days, and the court would also have only 3 days to decide about any objections or appeals. In the said internet portal, there was no option to send or submit additional documents that would confirm that a given person was actually living or was residing in a municipality. This is a legislator's issue. The time frame was very tight. Some municipalities were not able to verify the requests within such a short period of time. Therefore, I think it's a message for the legislator to stipulate longer periods of time. And second of all, if you waited until the very last day to send your request to be added to the list of voters, you simply have to face such consequences. As said, the time frame was very tight, and relevant bodies, even in the foreseen time, were not able to handle all requests. Well, what you have mentioned should not have happened. If the decision was positive, then it would just be about the serving of the actual letter to the voter. Yet, if the system sees that the decision was positive, the voter should be on the list. I think that should be verified where that happened and why wasn't there congruence between the dates, i.e. positive decision, and then the Commission doesn't know about this decision. It requires explanation, but the citizen won't vote today. Just let me complement it. If, in fact, the person received the decision, he or she should be on the list of voters. It is possible that somebody was omitted. That does happen. We have employees from the civil registry on duty in the commissions. They need to explain such issues. A member of the commission should call the municipality office to verify such a situation, and if the civil registry employee confirms that this was a mistake, then the commission would use an additional form to add the voter's name to the list. Each situation deserves to be explained on one-to-one basis. I think there shouldn't be any problem. This is the same office that issues a decision and then verifies it. Another question, please. Agnieszka Wielkowicz, TVN24. Złotoryja and Zakopane. In Złotoryja, for 90 minutes, three commissions were issuing improper ballot papers. In Zakopane, for 6 hours, that was the case. Only at 1 p.m. did they realize that they were making a mistake. Do you have any information about any protests from these commissions, and are you going to repeat the elections there? Yes, we have received such information. However, when the information about improper ballot papers reaches us before the beginning of the election, that's not a problem. We can reprint them. As I said, there was a similar situation in which we had to print the ballot papers right after the polling station was open. However, when it turns out after several hours that there was a mistake, there is no way to repair it or to undo it. That's why the Commission will decide what to do, how to proceed in a given case. If in fact a voter comes to the conclusion that he or she was deprived of the right to vote, he or she has the right to lodge a protest, and on a one-to-one basis the court will handle the case, because all circumstances are important, whether it had impact on the results or didn't. That's for the court to decide. Another question, please. Hanna Dobrowolska, election verification movement. Let me refer to the question that has already been asked before noon. Scanning of the election protocols. We have received information from the National Electoral Commission stating that there's a 30-day deadline for publication of the scans on your website. There's a signature of Judge Hermeliński, and that's a letter that we received today. Let me therefore ask you a question. What about the real possibility of lodging citizens' protests? In our opinion, 30 days is too long, and it is not possible, therefore, in such a case, to compare the accrued data on your website with the scans that will be presented on your website, since the deadline for lodging a protest is only 14 days. Could you comment on that? And what about access to public information? All in all, these are several paragraphs in the Polish law that stipulate these deadlines. Well, you have touched upon several issues, actually. Let me refer to the most important one, the right to lodge citizens' protest. The first place where the protocols will be is outside of a polling station in a given district electoral commission. That's where the protocols appear for the first time, and then they are available. Apart from that, each member of the commission, any observer, has the right to receive a copy of the protocol. Any statesman has the right to do so as well, to be up to date with the information. On top of that, in line with the new regulations, district commissions have an additional duty to prepare another copy of the protocol that is then transferred to the REEV in the municipality office, and throughout the 30 days the REEV is obliged to present such a protocol for viewing as public information. As I said during the previous conference, we are planning to act immediately as soon as we can. Once the whole procedure related to determining the results of the elections, our delegation offices will start preparing the scans. Let's not forget, that's a huge load of documentation. Just to give you some scale, in Świętokrzyskie province, after the elections 4 years ago, the head of the delegation office decided to scan all the protocols from a Kielce office, and it took them a week, every single day, non-stop. That's a lot of documentation. We have 4 kinds of elections happening on one day, separate protocols for each of them, great number of candidates. These are unique elections indeed, and we do know our obligation. We will act upon it to fulfill it. And as soon as the delegation offices can, they will do so. But the first thing is to verify whether the protocols have been drafted correctly. That's the basic duty of the territorial commissions. If the duty is fulfilled, then we can proceed. But that has no impact on the citizens' right to lodge protests. These are 2 separate things, if I may. National Electoral Commission and the Election Office act in line with the Electoral Code. Article 77, paragraph 1 states that immediately after the protocols of election are drafted, prior to being handed over to a commission of a higher rank, the District Commission publicizes the results of the election by hanging the protocol in the polling station in a place that is visible for the voters. The copy of the protocol is given to each member of the Commission and each statesman. The said protocol is also placed on the website of the National Electoral Commission. In line with paragraph 3 of the said article, head of the District Commission responsible for determining the results of the elections or his or her deputy transfers a copy of such a protocol immediately to the reeves and to the voters within the deadline of 30 days, and this protocol is available for viewing in a municipality office. Let me emphasize, this is available to each voter. Thank you very much for this explanation, but that doesn't put my mind at ease. Well, it's a different thing to be able to read the protocol from your own commission. Say the smallest town in the suburbs of Warsaw, 4 commissions to calculate the total number of votes given for a reeve or another candidate. To have some real comparison of the results, you have to know all the protocols from all the commissions, compare them, and then compare the result with the final verified results of the elections. It's not that one document hang up somewhere gives us some information about the elections. So you know what I'm asking about, being able to have accurate information. That's A. B, it seems to us that it's not the citizens' duty to seek information. We have election authorities so that we can have full access to public information, and that's what is important for us. We propose 3 days. That should be the deadline for hanging out protocols. Let me just give you an example of the delegation office in Zielona Góra in 2015. They managed to do it within 3 hours. That might have been a record, but it's real. I do know that there is a difference between the elections back then and these elections, but 3 days and a month, that's a huge difference. Let me just remind you that this is a press conference, so you are allowed to ask questions and not present statements. That's why please follow the rule. Another question? If there are no further questions, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. The next press conference will be held at 9:30 p.m. Then we will provide you with the current information and we will make a summary of today's voting day. Thank you very much once again for coming here and follow us on our website. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the participation in our conference. We still have 127 minutes until the end of voting. Thank you very much.